Please join me in welcoming the inspiring Ms. Jaya Vaidhyanathan, a leader shaping the future of digital transformation. Ms. Jaya, welcome to TIES.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Ms. Jaya, you must be aware, you know that the interim budget is also to be presented soon, next week. So, from your perspective, what expectations or initiatives would you like to see in the upcoming budget that can positively impact the fintech industry and digital transformation, especially with regards to the startup ecosystem?
This budget is a vote on account, so the usual buzz regarding path-breaking changes is not there, and rightly so. However, without even a physical outlay, you can look at policy measures that could be beneficial.
Mhm.
Example like the gift city, right? It was long spoken about to be the next Singapore, New York, and London can actually become one through policy relaxations. I'm not talking about the obvious ones, tax benefits,
Mhm.
exemptions, but enablers such as the ease of registration for Indian fintechs, regulatory relaxations from SEBI and RBI for innovations that may seem non conventional, such as real time transaction related solutions. So I would say, even if you're not looking at a physical outlay, you should
Mhm.
be seriously looking at, more in terms of what can you do with policy easing, because that way it will not be something that's you wait for the next budget to happen, or you're just kind of like saying let's do something in the interim that will be beneficial, especially from a startup ecosystem perspective and from a fintech perspective.
Uh, During one of the parliament sessions last year in 2023, a report was presented in which the government called for the suggestions or measures to enable reverse flipping of the startups to India.
Yeah.
So, according to you, what kind of policy measures can be taken by the government? Maybe not in this budget, but after the elections, after the elections, what policy interventions can they do in order to enable the reverse flipping of the startups to India?
Yeah, so reverse innovation has been something that's been widely studied, and I think we in India have been beneficially of only innovations when it reaches the tail end of the chain, as in something that's gone through the early adopter and the mature growth, and when it becomes a cash cow kind of a situation, then you look at where else can I do it in terms of low cost innovation, and that's how India has been in the past been part of that cycle. And I think the complete flip can only happen when we become the creators, when we kind of take this to various markets. And then they look at, let's start with an innovation idea in India and see how that works. I would give several examples of this. The Tata Nano card may not be the most successful model, but something that you look at it in terms of the ideation. It was to not be a revolutionary car, but it was to be a car that takes a family of four on a two wheeler and puts them in their first four wheeler kind of a vehicle. And that kind of origin comes with issues that prevail in India, that needs to be addressed in India, and therefore needs a mindset to understand the culture of India and therefore innovate for India. Examples of how we started as well was something that looked at that as a switch. Problems of large NPAs in India, that
Mhm.
was something you can't take a global mindset and say why is that not working for India, because the issues of NPAs came from two issues. One, which is a standard across the globe issue, which is the ability to pay, but
Mhm.
your willingness to pay, which is the cause of loan frauds, is something that why does it originate, what is the mindset, what are we missing, that needs a typical mindset where you say I'm going to address India's problems with an India lens and
Indian
work on
mindset.
that technology solution, can only come from something that's made in India. And I think that needs that you get ideation from what is happening in the Western economies, and then look at how it applies for India with the lens of India, and then apply that. Then you have a completely different custom solution for India. And I think more and more we need to look at that. And a lot of exemptions in that, when you say make in India, You can't apply for, earlier you wouldn't be able to apply for large public sector bank RFPs if you didn't
Mhm.
have three references before. And you wouldn't have references in these regions unless you were one of the Western products that have been used in India. So, to
India.
just ease the use of entry into banks with minimal kind of like support that's needed in terms of your BGs, in terms of your initial bid bonds, to kind of making references easy, to kind of looking at a lot more
No.
ease of doing business that's really needed. And then you talk about the fiscal stimulus, tax exemptions, which are obvious.
Ms. Jaya Vaidhyanathan, thank you for talking to us.
Thank you very much. Absolute pleasure to talk to you.